context.
Let's look to the competition and innovation plan yesterday. Some similarities with what Labor had in government here, Ed Husic, as Parliamentary Secretary to the Shadow Treasurer. Do you support the thrust of this policy as announced by the government yesterday?
Well, again, it's another case of something that was hyped up, Kieran, and took a long time to get to this point, and all we got was a fig leaf of a policy. We've got the shorty robe equivalent of policy here. I mean, they've cut $9 billion from higher ed, science, research, you name it, in terms of innovation, and all they've really done is finally, after we've been saying that changes need to be made on the employee share ownership program, they've made it after all this time, and then they've gone and mimicked what we did on innovation precincts. But the biggest thing overall is that they have not moved in any tangible sense again in trying to press ahead with innovation. What the things we need for the economy to be able to diversify and to be able to give long-term high-value jobs for Australians into the future. So it's really an embarrassing afterthought. And on one area that I've been working on in terms of trying to see what's the proper regulatory framework around crowdfunding that allow tech startups to raise millions through the general public. You know, the government's had a report since May, Kieran, that has talked about the type of rules that could be put in place for something that is technically illegal here, and yesterday's innovation statement mentioned nothing about it whatsoever.
Did the government match the rhetoric yesterday? Because when you look at the amount of money that's been removed from research in the budget, $400 million going back into boosting business, supporting research, is it a fig leaf, as Mr Husic says? No,
not at all, and there's a number of important measures there. I mean, Ed mentioned the employee share ownership schemes. Well, Labor made those changes which we now need to fix, and things like employee share ownership schemes are very important for startups. I was talking to a number of startups in recent days, and for them that can be critical to making sure that they have a viable business which then goes on and hopefully employs thousands of Australians. These are the kind of things we should be supporting. These industry growth centres are important, and they're a very important part of this package. And of course it comes on the back of a range of measures we've taken which lift our competitiveness, whether it's reducing red tape, getting rid of the carbon tax, getting rid of the mining tax, free trade agreement with Korea, free trade agreement with Japan, working on one with China. This is part of a much bigger agenda which is about building a prosperous economy.
Believe it or not, that's a live shot of Katoomba in spring. Extraordinary, the snowfalls overnight. But let's just finish with Ed Husic and Zed Seselja. Ed, in terms of this focusing on 5 industries, that was something that Labor was doing, wasn't it? You know, picking our strengths, the end of protectionism as it's been described, and focusing on what we're good at.
We do need to see where we can strengthen the economy, particularly, and you know, I've had a very big focus for quite some time in terms of what we can do in the ICT and tech space, because it's such an enabler for other industries as well. But in this innovation statement, there is very little when you look at it in terms of, for example, the innovation precinct concept of trying to support the tech sector. All that's been done is employee share ownership, but the millions that they could raise through crowdfunding for individual startups, you know, has not been dealt with by this government. And you know, my concern is, you know, when the Liberal view of the economy is that it's a dirt economy. You either dig stuff out of it, you graze off it, or you build on it. But you know, in terms of thinking of what we can do to expand people's you know, skill capacity, you know, we've got cuts to higher education and massive cuts in terms of school funding.
Okay.